All right, we're going to go and get started with the next episode of Every Citizen Armed.
We've all seen it in the news. Someone defends themselves or their loved ones only to find themselves fighting a legal battle that can cost everything. Mortgage payments, retirement savings, even their kids' college funds, gone, just to prove they did nothing wrong. That's why Firearms Legal Protection, the official sponsor of Every Citizen Armed, exists. For as little as 33 cents a day, FLP gives you unlimited legal defense for criminal and civil cases. No caps, no hidden fees, no surprise bills. If you have to defend yourself, FLP will handle the legal battle so you can focus on what matters: your family, your future, your freedom. We insure our homes, cars, and health. Why wouldn't we protect ourselves legally when it matters most? Go to firearmslegal.com, choose your plan, and use promo code ECA at checkout for exclusive pricing. No setup fee and a locked-in lifetime rate. Protect yourself today, and Firearms Legal Protection will have your back when it matters most.
Every Citizen Armed ensures that every American patriot is prepped with knowledge, perspective, and firepower.
He counted on America to be passive. He counted wrong.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
We're here with Matt. I'm going to let you just start this off actually by just introducing yourself, talk about a little bit of where you're from, where you how you got to where you're at. It's pretty impressive. I caught a little bit of it at the beginning, so I really like what you're having to say there. So, can you introduce yourself and tell us what you've done?
Yeah, I'm not much, man. I'm just an advocate, right? My name is Matt Haywood. I'm a retired police officer. Been in the firearms industry, for 20 something years now, and I just I'm tired of all the stuff going on, and I just looking for another way to protect people since I can't work the streets anymore, and had to be forced out of the retirement there. So.
Well, now you're a California guy.
Yes, sir.
Born and raised here.
Yes, sir. So born in La Mirada, down south here, and lived down there. Bounced around all the neighborhoods down in Los Angeles area, Whittier, Norwalk, Santa Fe Springs, those type of things. Moved up to Calaveras County, so complete change of environment, right? Go from city life to foothill life, and
so folks that aren't from California, from this area that listen to us, you were down in L.A., Calaveras County. Give us a little bit of a description of what was up. Where is that in?
So Calaveras County, specifically the town that I grew up in, Valley Springs, is about 45 miles east of Stockton off of Highway 99. So
that's funny, as I was just there, not probably 2 weeks ago. Yeah, actually working with one of the feed stores there. So
awesome.
Yeah, good folks. So you're up at Valley Springs.
Yep. So grew up there from '89. I moved out in 2000. So went up to Calaveras High School, graduated high school there. During my time at Calaveras High School, I kind of got introduced to law enforcement. And from about 14 years old, that's what I put my mindset to, and that's my goal. That's what I decided to do for a living. So
now, you said you were in the Explorer program.
Yes, sir.
I think more kids need to get involved in that. So kind of help understand what that is and what that does.
So for me, I started actually in the high school. We had a ROTC program, ROP Police Science. So started getting into that, and was introduced to some of the law enforcement officers. Met Jan Nichols from California Highway Patrol, and she brought me on a ride along up there. And that within 30 seconds of being in a patrol car, I knew what I wanted to do. I tell you what, the things I learned about myself and about just law enforcement in general, the stigma and the rumors and stuff, that was probably the best experience of my life, being an explorer up there. Yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
I think usually the rumors and the thought process of folks that don't like cops have done things to make it to where there's a reason they don't like cops.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, law enforcement has a hard job, and it just makes it even harder now that, a lot of times they're just disrespected. There's no respect for any authority anymore. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and their way is the right way, and there's really no balance anymore with it. So,
which I'm fine with everybody having an opinion. Yeah, you can have an opinion, absolutely. Just and you can share it, but don't try and push it off on everybody.
Yes, sir.
And that's what seems to be a real problem when you look at it. So then you did Explorers. How long did that last?
So I started at 14. I made my way up the ranks in the Explorer program to the captain of that particular post.
Oh, that's impressive.
Yeah, so I was there until I was 18 years old, and when I turned 18, I moved to Merced in California, about an hour north of Fresno, and started as a police dispatcher for the Livingston Police Department. While I was dispatching for them, I was also the civilian advisor for the Atwater Police Department for their Explorer program, so I was heavily involved in that. While I was working at Livingston PD as a dispatcher, I started putting myself through the Modular Academy to become a police officer.
Okay. Now, when you were with the Explorer program, you're young. You're not even 18 yet, but you're going through that. Are you going out? What do the Explorers do? Are you riding along at all?
Yeah, so community service hours are required, right? So we're gonna, help pick up litter on the highways or do special events. One of the best things that I ever did was, working traffic control and crowd control over at Pebble Beach for the Pro-Am golf tournament and the U.S. Open.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, did traffic control and crowd control at Laguna Seca for the motorcycle races and some of the other car races out there. Travel up and down the state doing special events like that. And it was an awesome experience. I mean, if you ever want to know how dumb society is, try to direct traffic for a couple of days and then you'll figure it out pretty quick.
So who's the most famous golfer you met?
Famous golfer? Really couldn't tell you. Never really interacted with a lot of the golfers.
Is that okay?
However, working the Pro-Am, you got to see a lot of the outside celebrities. So, I got to meet Alice Cooper and Emmett Smith, Lynn Swan.
Oh, very cool.
I got to have dinner with Clint Eastwood one night.
Now, that would be awesome.
It was a very humbling experience.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Oh, shoot.
Think how old he was then.
Well, that had to have been in 99, 98, 99. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's getting quite a bit older. So,
Yes,
but that was still, I think 99. Yeah, that was before.
Late 50s,
Yeah,
maybe 60s.
yeah. I was
maybe?
trying to think which movies he had coming out. That was even before Unforgiven, I guess, and all that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. So then you go and you're doing when you're an Explorer. What else did you do? Ride-alongs with folks?
Yeah. So part of the requirements to go on a ride-along is for every hour of community service you work with the CHP program at the time. I don't know what it's like now, but we had to do 1 hour of community service to get 1 hour of a ride-along.
Okay.
So when I was going through high school, generally speaking, I would go to high school, get out of school at 2:45, 3 o'clock, and then the CHP office was in walking distance. So usually Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I would go over there and I'd help the records clerk answer phone calls, shred papers, help clean the patrol cars, help the officers get all their equipment done, help inspect equipment, all that kind of stuff, wash the cars. And then, after I get 8 hours of community service, which I'd usually get in a week's time,
Sure.
every Friday night, if it wasn't football season, I was playing football, I was out on a ride along. Yeah.
And that didn't scare you away.
Oh, absolutely not. That was absolutely amazing. So it really opened my eyes to, the whole concept of, law enforcement, they deal with 90% of the problems of only 10% of the population.
Right.
And that really opened my eyes that, hey, there is a lot of good people out there. It's just, unfortunately, law enforcement has a bad stigma because all they do is deal with that 90% of people that cause 10%,
Yeah, and I think that really gives them a bad light when it shouldn't. Absolutely. Right. So then you go and you're dispatching.
Yes, sir.
So that had to be kind of interesting.
Tell you what, dispatching is one of the most stressful and hard jobs in law enforcement.
Now, are you answering the calls coming in and helping dispatch it out?
Yes, sir. So with Livingston Police Department, very small agency,
Right.
One dispatcher for the entire city. So I was dispatching, I was answering phone calls, doing record, 911, dispatching for fire, all at the same time. But it really gave me a better insight to how law enforcement operations in the field work. And I truly believe it made me a better police officer. So
I can see that. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's Not that not everyone wants to do it, but I think some type of requirement like that wouldn't be a bad way. As you become get in law enforcement, go spend a week.
Yeah.
Go answer those phones for a week. It's in our world. I've always said you got to take care of the office folks. And, I'm in sales, so I'm always very nice to our office people because they're the ones that are going to make my job better, and make where I can do my job better. And I think it's the same way. You got to take care of that dispatcher. You got to take care of those folks. So that's really good. So then you do that for a couple of years.
Yeah. So I was with Livingston for 2 years as a dispatcher. I lateraled over to Atwater Police Department as a dispatcher there. Did that for 2.5 years, again, while I was putting myself through the police academy. When I graduated the academy, the chief said, "You are no longer a dispatcher. You're now on patrol. But if we ever need somebody to fill dispatch, you have the experience, so we'll pay you overtime to go do that." So it was pretty.
And how old were you?
So I graduated the academy in 2005.
Okay.
So I was 23 years old.
Okay. Yeah. So that's because you have to be 21.
Correct.
Now, I'm curious about this because you went through a different route than a lot of people, but hopefully I think more would do that. There's some new rules and laws coming into place to become a law enforcement officer. Have you seen this to where you have to have a college degree or you have to wait till you're 25 to apply?
I've heard rumors of it. I haven't done any research on it. My legislative research has really been more geared to the Second Amendment community out here. So
2029 is when that's taking effect. Well, unless it gets stopped. But
my caution to that though is for anybody that's actually going to be in about that time frame, stay away from a criminal justice degree.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is, what are you going to do with a criminal justice degree if it doesn't work out as a law enforcement officer?
Yeah, you're stuck.
There's not much to do. So find something, maybe minor in something in criminal justice, but find something else that's going to be more beneficial to you.
And I really don't think they need to have it. In my opinion, I don't think they need to have a degree to go into law enforcement. It's not going to hurt, but in some ways it might hurt. But looking at what the kids coming out of college nowadays.
Yeah, we won't get into the indoctrination part of this, but
Hey, the floor is open. I have that one there drives me nuts. So yes, absolutely. We've had it to where and it does affect the Second Amendment.
Absolutely.
The way they're talking about it in the schools. So what are some of the other recommendations with folks that want to get into law enforcement? I know we're getting into the training here in a little bit, but other young folks that want to get into law enforcement, what would you recommend for them?
Go on a ride along. That's the first thing. Get a hold of your local agency, go on a ride along and see what these men and women do out there on a daily basis. That's going to be your first open experience, and really understand what it's like to be a police officer, the dangers associated with it, but how rewarding it is for these men and women when they actually get to go home that evening and look at the positive things they were able to do that day.
Now, you transferred to Atwater. You're on patrol. How long were you on patrol?
So I got on patrol again in 2005. I did a lot of different assignments within law enforcement. I revamped the bicycle patrol team. That was a good time. I worked a little bit with the gang and narcotics task force, the detective unit, stuff like that. Ultimately, my favorite part of my law enforcement career was actually when I was a school resource officer. That was literally the most rewarding part of my career. And as a school resource officer in 2014 is when my career ended. Due to an on-duty traffic collision. We can get into that too. But, the time at the schools, just being able to connect with those youth and really change their perception of law enforcement was the most rewarding time of my career.
We talked about that actually with a couple previous guests about how, unfortunately, when law enforcement shows up, it's those people, they're coming into contact with these folks on the worst day of their life. And that's what it is. And that's when you're taking mom to jail, dad to jail, whatever you're doing, whatever happens to be going on or something's happened. I really like the idea, and we used to do it even with my grocery business in the past and then with the feed store, to where we would have child safety days or something like that, and we'd bring law enforcement out. And I think the community, kids in the community especially, but even needs to see that uniform show up at a fun time and have a good time with them. And understand that all the other sides that go in there, I really like the school resource officers.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of states, including ours, have been doing some things to try to remove that program, and I think removing that program is going to be so detrimental to our kids.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that even more so with this ridiculous budget problems that we're running into in this state.
Yes, sir.
And I was on a school board for years, and we had a resource officer. They did great things, and it cost the school some money. It does. You got to pay that salary, but at the same time, what it paid back was more than worth it. But yeah, I would imagine we're going to see some serious cuts coming into place, and that will be one of them that, unfortunately, gets looked upon as something that can be cut.
Yeah, I went into law enforcement saying, if I could change one person's life for the positive, that my career was worth it. And even though my career was cut short, I can tell you that it was worth it. I've made very, very good friends that I now consider family as a result of that were students when I was a school resource officer at one of the high schools up there. And still to this day, we always laugh. The kid's name is Austin, and I call him my redheaded stepchild. But at the end of the day, he's truly a brother of mine, and the relationship that was established there was like him and I are just 100% natural brothers. Trust him for everything, and vice versa. So,
Do you still keep in contact with other kids?
Oh, absolutely. So, when I was at the high school, obviously social media was starting to, it was already present, but it was getting that really big, really, really big. And I had a lot of students befriend me on Facebook and just establish those relationships. We still talk all the time. I mean, there'll be times that I'll be, going through Costco or something like that, and one of my kids will come up to me and go, "Hey, Officer Haywood, how are you?" And give me a big hug. And I've had a couple wedding invites from some of my past students, and I keep in contact with a few of them. Actually, I probably keep in contact with more of the students from the high school than the law enforcement officers I worked with at the time. So
I've seen that with a lot of the retired folks we've spoken with. Actually, they kind of separate themselves. You have to separate yourself from the law enforcement community a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's I could see that being a need almost in your mental state.
Yeah, it's funny. I always say, I always thought I was a good person, even as a police officer. And now that I've retired, I can look back and say, I am such a better person now, and I'm living life to the fullest. And I just, I'll never regret what I did in law enforcement. I truly miss my career, but I am so glad I'm out of it now.
Yeah, I don't think we give enough credit to the folks that are doing that and that have done it in the past. So I really appreciate it. My son was in law enforcement, and I never was, but I just think it's impressive to see the folks that come out of that, and I've just met some great, great people. So you were in a rural community there. I mean, Atwood, it's not a big town.
Yeah, Atwater.
Atwater.
Yeah, I think like even today, I think it's only like 35,000 people.
Yeah.
So
I imagine you were busting up a few parties out in the orchards.
Yeah, a few.
Occasionally here and there.
Yeah, but one thing that what I absolutely loved about being, agricultural community, small department, there was a lot of freedom and discretion given to us, right?
Good.
So we'd go to, these orchard parties and, go out and just literally make that relationship with the kids, make sure they're not doing anything stupid, make sure they're not, being egregious as far as the laws go and stuff like that. Just make sure they're safe and just, let them be kids. We were all kids once.
Oh, yeah. I think people forget that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy the other day. He was jumping all over his kid about something, which we all do. And I looked at him and I said, "Hey, what were you doing at 13?" He's like, "That doesn't matter. We're not going to talk about that." I said, "No, I get it. I mean, my son, my daughters, they're all grown." I said, "But where were you at 13?" Back up just a tad. You might see something there.
Yeah, one of the things I can, it kind of bothers me is when people say, I don't want my kids making the same mistakes that I did. And I'm like, I look at that and go, well, if your kids don't make the same mistakes that you did growing up, how are they going to learn to not do those mistakes? And how are you going to be a good role model if you don't let them make those mistakes,
You learn a hell of a lot more from your mistakes than you do your successes. That's still to this day, people think it's probably crazy. One of my proudest things about my youngest daughter, when she was going through high school, I would have never thought to do this. And she was a good kid. but she cut class one time. It was actually, she cut class after lunch, and they went to go check on their animals, and they just didn't go back. Mm-hmm. Well, what she did, though, she grabbed my phone. I didn't know because we didn't have a house phone. We got rid of it, just had my cell phone. She blocked the number from the high school on my phone so they couldn't call me.
Kids don't do that.
And I thought that was brilliant, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
What she didn't realize or didn't think about, I'm involved with all the ag teachers.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the principal and I actually were on a first name basis and talked regularly on the phone, and I did some different committees. So really, it took about 10 minutes for my phone to ring from a different phone number. Mm-hmm. And then before she even got home, I knew. But then I found out later on that she had blocked that number. So I mean, why did I not get a call? She's like, I blocked that number in your phone. I'm like, and she thought she was going to get grounded. I'm like, no, that was actually pretty smart. I'll give you that one. I would have done it if I could have when I was a kid, but don't do it again.
Right.
She's like, well, I didn't think that they would text you or call you from their phone. But yeah, let them screw up.
Yeah.
Let them make mistakes. They're going to learn a hell of a lot more from that.
Yes, sir.
In that, you probably come across some pretty fun stuff when you were out there on patrol.
Oh yeah, driving 100 miles an hour on a residential street with your lights and sirens going on, that's always fun. But honestly, like I literally think like the funnest time I had as a law enforcement officer was, like I said, it was just being a school resource officer. I absolutely love that position. But yeah, I mean, there's the job it's very stressful at times. You can, especially with the small department, you can make it as busy as you want.
Right. Yes.
I mean, you could, if you don't have any calls for service, there was a lot of times when, working for that department, I'd show up to work and there wouldn't be one call for service in a 10-hour shift. So I could do whatever I want. But other times, we get to work, and when you only have 3 people for a city, of 35,000 people, you only have 3 officers working, you were called to call. Yeah. So I think for me, the funnest thing was not knowing what was going to happen that day. It was a different day every single time I got in that patrol car, and I absolutely loved that.
Yeah. So now you retired. Well, let's cover why you retired, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You had a traffic accident.
Yeah, so I was actually, like I said, I was working as a school resource officer. Got out of school right at 2:55. Had a doctor's appointment later that day. So I had a take-home car, so I was in a marked police unit. Left the high school. As I was getting out of the city limits, a PG&E truck blew a red light at an intersection and T-boned me in the passenger B pillar, so right between the front and the rear door of the car. Spun me around, ended up coming to rest. My car came to rest on an electrical control box, ironically enough.
Luckily, the PG&E guy was there.
Well, yeah, no doubt. Well, he was only there for a few minutes because by the time I got out of my vehicle and I flagged him to pull over, he decided that he was going to leave the scene.
Oh.
Funny enough, his license plate was embedded in the passenger door of my car.
That's a tough one to get away from.
Yeah. We ended up finding his vehicle broke down a couple miles down the road. He had claimed that he had some seizures and stuff like that. I won't get into the litigation part of the whole incident. Needless to say, he committed a felony hit and run. There were no charges pursued against him. Probably about, a couple minutes after the accident, adrenaline starts, coming down or whatever.
Sure.
Started having some tingling and numbness in my leg. Over the next few days, come to find out that, I had some pretty significant back injuries. Ended up almost paralyzed for 6 weeks. Took me about 4 back surgeries to get through everything to get back on my feet, up and running again. So my career was literally pulled away from me from a guy that was driving a PG&E truck with a history of seizures and messing around with his cell phone at the time of the collision. So
yeah, which was probably more so than the seizure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We all know that's. I actually had a guy witnessed an accident actually, and got out to go see about helping, and the guy immediately who caused it said, "Oh, I didn't even see him. I was on my cell phone," and he threw that out there. Just brought it right out.
Yeah, diarrhea of the mouth will do that to you sometimes.
God.
Yeah.
I thought, man, you probably shouldn't have said that out loud, but I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
Because those young folks you hit, they need to know the truth. And he tried to claim against it later that he didn't. He wasn't on his phone. I'm like, well, Here's my statement. Sorry to go against you, but
Right.
you flat told me. So
Yeah, so I, did that, recovered from my back surgeries. My doctors were asking me, why aren't you going back to work? And I was literally just, I don't know what to do. Like I said, I mean, since I was 14 years old, that's all I ever wanted to do was be a police officer.
yeah,
And so, got on Facebook, started looking around to see, what opportunities there might be, and found a local gun shop that was hiring. And I'm like, well, I like guns. Let's go do it. And so started working there, worked there for 4.5 years, did everything from sales to cleaning the dust to operating inside the range, helping with instruction, dealing with all the ATF paperwork, DOJ personnel, all that kind of stuff, shipping and receiving, and eventually made a decision to leave and open up my own firearms training business. And that's kind of led me here, even here in your studio today. So, yeah.
And what's the name of the business?
So my business is Hard Focus Firearms Training.
Okay.
We're certified for CCW training in California for 12 different agencies. I got about 13 different pieces of paper hanging on my wall that I spent $10,000 for, but it doesn't make me any better than anybody else. It just says that I spent all this money just to be able to tell you what to do and what not to do. So
California is very good about having a lot of extra.
yes, sir.
A lot extra.
Yeah. So I do that. I have a home-based FFL business, so I sell firearms and ammunition outside of my home. I got involved in that specifically for my students, and then one thing led to another. When I started teaching with firearms, I started realizing that, hey, I don't have my union protections with law enforcement anymore. If I were to get involved in a situation, I don't have that protection anymore. So there's opportunities. There's a lot of companies out there that are, reaching out to instructors and, got me into the self-defense liability protection industry. And I've put my feet and my hands into a couple of them and finally found a home with firearms legal protection. So,
Yeah, it's kind of how we got connected, because I've started to work with them just a little bit. And one of our biggest pushes on this thing is, we support all, everybody owning a firearm. But responsible gun ownership, I think, is one of the biggest factors. That falls right into it, in my opinion. You better take care of yourself.
yeah.
But it falls. You got to have responsible gun ownership, and that's part of it.
Yeah, and being in the industry now versus my law enforcement career, I never really thought about it as a police officer. But, as a police officer, we're told to be proactive, go out and stop things, right? Well, you can't be everywhere at once as a police officer. And when you hear about a shooting or a fight or something like that as a law enforcement officer, you kind of roll your eyes and go, hey, why couldn't I have stopped that? Or what can I do to make this better for the individuals involved? Not realizing that 2 hours prior to that, you made a pedestrian stop, found out that the guy was a gangbanger or was on probation or something, and you caught him with some dope or a gun or whatever, and you arrested him. Well, what's not to say that the guy you arrested wasn't actually walking to another rival gang member's house and start a shooting. So, at the time as a police officer, you don't really realize those things. And, getting into the civilian side of it, law enforcement, all they can do is respond to things. And there's no thankfulness for those officer-initiated activities, because everybody only thinks that they, oh my God, this was the worst day of my life. Now I have to call this officer who really doesn't care about me.
Right.
When the fact of the matter is they really do. They can't be everywhere at once. And, getting into, the CCW aspect and everything. Yeah. I hate the common saying, you are your own first responder, but it's the most spoken thing you could ever say about it. And even if you don't like firearms, get some type of protection. Right.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Doesn't matter what it is. Yeah.
I talked to a lot of different folks, and like I said, I actually had an old boss who she hates guns. She hated guns, I should say, because I got a picture of her the other day shooting, which was kind of interesting. But we used to talk about it a lot, and I told her, you don't have to carry a gun. If you don't like them, I don't want you to, because you're not going to do the training. You're not going to do the stuff that goes along with that. Mm-hmm. But everything around you can be a weapon. But please pay attention to what you're doing. Yeah. I don't care. Like, she was a single woman driving them down the state. keep bear spray in your car. Do something.
I got my own opinions about bear spray.
Yeah,
but,
or whatever,
go ahead,
pepper
yeah.
spray. You know, I think unfortunately, the pepper spray crap we buy doesn't do. You guys got the good stuff. We can't buy the good stuff.
Oh, you can buy the good stuff. Palm Industries probably makes the best
Do they?
pepper spray available for the civilian market. It's absolutely phenomenal, and the price point's really good.
We'll have to look at that.
Yeah,
one.
give me a call. I'm a dealer. So
Are
we
you?
can
There
figure
you
that
go.
out, yeah.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. Well, because that's always my fears. I see these folks out there driving. Like I'm in sales, so we travel a lot, and these girls would do the same thing, and I don't want anybody getting that close to them. That's why I always got to go do some bear spray or something. But I like the palm idea, as long as you get a distance, get a distance. I had my managers in the past that worked for me, and I carried a firearm inside the grocery store, but I had them carry a pepper spray. And of course, I had one of them pepper spray himself. And, it's going to happen.
You got to try it out, right?
Well, he didn't mean to. We had a fight, a shoplifter, and turned into a pretty ugly fight. And he decided to pull out his pepper spray. And, of course, he sprayed himself and didn't do a damn bit of good. It's like, well, you go over there. We'll handle this.
That was one of my worst experiences as a police officer. We got a call for a party. It was on a holiday. I can't remember what it was. And, you have 4 police officers at a party with about 60 to 100 people in a small 800 square foot home. And without getting into all the details, the proverbial brown substance hit the oscillating thing circling on the
Yes.
and it spread all over the place. And we ended up having to go in the house and trying to arrest the homeowner and stuff like that. And so I'm trying to deal with 3 guys on the couch. My partners are in there. Again, the living room is smaller than this studio right here, and you have 2 officers with ass batons trying to swing full speeds and everything. And I turn around, I don't know what happened, but I turned around and I looked, and my partner comes in with pepper spray.
Oh, no.
And he starts spraying people. Again, we're in a living room that's probably 200, not even 200 square feet. It's probably like 100 square feet tops. Yeah. And he's dousing everybody with pepper spray, and every single one of us had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It was.
You're looking for a gallon of milk to pour on your head at that point.
Johnson's baby shampoo.
Oh, is that right?
I'm just going to say that right there. That's the, yeah.
Well, like I said, I mentioned my son was in law enforcement, and I watched him come home after getting pepper sprayed a few times and in training. And that's when we found out milk was one of the best things for that real quick.
It's too expensive now.
Oh, nowadays it's rough. Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, it was. I laughed my ass off. Quite honestly, I enjoyed it. He didn't enjoy it. In fact, he probably got frustrated at me for laughing at him, I would imagine. But I had a good time with it. So.
Yeah, actually, like one of my training curriculums I do is a civilian pepper spray course, and I always tell my students, when we do our demonstrations, obviously I have inert sprays.
Sure.
Right. So, there's pressurized water spray so people can practice and learn the stream of Palm Industries. But I always offer, I have a waiver and I say, hey, if anybody's willing to actually do a live exposure of the actual product, I will reimburse you your tuition for this class. I haven't gotten anybody to volunteer yet.
What?
But yeah.
Oh my. You're not charging enough then.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah, that's so when you're doing classes. What you have a bunch of different classes. What classes are you teaching?
So at first my business is primarily just private one-on-one instruction. And then I got all the certifications to teach CCW in California and contracted with 2 local ranges that I teach at, and just kind of blew up from there. I'd like to keep my classes small because I think, that more personal attention, and I'm a one-man show. Yeah. So it's not safe to have 20, 30 people on the line when it's only one person and everybody misses the actual core curriculum, right? I like that personal interaction. So I typically keep my classes low, 6 to 12 people tops. But, what I found is the market is so flooded. And there's a lot of good instructors out there. And I always found it kind of odd that instructors are as competitive as Walmart versus Target. I don't like that. we're all here on the same team. You know, I have a saying. I say, don't get married to your firearms instructor. Go find somebody else.
Yeah. Well,
Because the
can
way
learn
I
different
say
things.
something and the way the other person, we might have the same exact curriculum, but you're going to learn something different from them than something that I teach you. And having that mindset has really opened up my opportunities where I've actually kind of put my training business a little, it's still open and operating. I've just kind of slowed down a little bit so I can help other instructors across the state and at it, you know, across the country, help develop their business. And that, you know, opened me up to, like I said, a lot of firearms instructors across the country. I'm really good friends with some of the lead instructors that actually teach and work for Glock, you know, and got introduced to all these other people. And so I still do the training stuff, but I've kind of been more about the advocacy and getting involved in the Second Amendment space and, you know, constitutional rights and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then as well, on top of everything else, right, you know, representing, you know, self-defense legal protection.
Yeah.
Because it's something that everybody needs.
Yeah. No, absolutely. You're going to get sued. You pull that firearm, and if you fire around, you're certainly going to get sued.
Imagine this. You defend yourself or a loved one, and instead of being seen as the good guy, you're arrested, charged, and forced to fight for your freedom. You know you did nothing wrong, but now you're looking at thousands in legal fees. We've seen it happen. Good people losing everything just to prove they acted lawfully. That's why you need firearms legal protection. For as little as 33 cents a day, FLP gives you unlimited legal defense for criminal and civil cases. No caps, no hidden fees, no payback, just real protection with experienced self-defense attorneys who have your back. Plus, you'll get 24/7 attorney access, red flag protection, and more. Go to firearmslegal.com, pick your plan, and use promo code ECA for exclusive pricing, no setup fee, and a lifetime rate lock. Because when the worst day of your life happens, you shouldn't face it alone.
Well, Chuck, I mean, think about this. Let's take firearms out of it.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
You and I look at each other. You take one of my training classes, okay? At the end of the class, you come up to me and you go, Matt, your class sucked, right? And I look at you, Chuck, and say, well, you know, hey, I'm really sorry you feel that way, but thank you for your money.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You know, being snarky about it, and you punch me in the face.
Yeah.
Okay? What crime did you just commit?
Yeah, there's assault.
Battery in California, right? Okay? And I have an option. I can put my tail between my legs, walk away, and call it good, or I can do what most people would think would be reasonable and punch you back.
Sure.
Well, most people would think that me punching you back would be self-defense.
Absolutely.
Well, did I commit a crime by hitting you?
In my opinion, no, but I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, what's the definition of battery in California, right?
But I would look at it as self-defense, but yeah, it's going to turn around.
It's still a crime.
Sure.
Right? And the thing with self-defense is it doesn't matter what you use to defend yourself,
Sure.
even words, right? You have to hold yourself accountable to your actions. And if those actions could possibly be a criminal activity, you are going to get either sued or there could be a possibility of you having some type of criminal action placed against you for your actions, even if you do claim self-defense. So, you know, it doesn't have to be firearms. That's where everybody focuses on.
Right. That's the big get. Right
Yeah,
there.
but, you know, no different than hands, feet, frying pans. If you've watched too many John Wick movies and want to stab somebody in the neck with a pencil, I mean, it's all the same.
He killed 3 people at a bar. Come on.
With a pencil.
With a pencil.
Yes.
I mean,
There's
that's
a new one coming out.
I heard that. Holy smoke. It's like Rambo. I mean, how many can we have?
Well, I think they're trying to take the John Wick series and kind of turn it into Star Wars, right? Because you had the original first 3 Star Wars.
Oh,
but
okay.
those were the mids, right?
Oh, wait, no.
So,
are we going back now?
Oh, well, we can go back. But now, yeah, so you have John Wick 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Yeah.
right? The new one that's coming out, I think, next month, Ballerina, is actually the storyline takes place between John Wick 3 and John Wick 4.
What?
And then you had this Amazon Prime series, The Continental, which was actually predates John Wick 1. So I think you're going to start seeing this whole series. And it's funny, I actually talk about John Wick in my classes because I say, get away from the John Wick syndrome, get away from the John Wick mindset.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it just, it blows my mind how influenced people are by Hollywood. Look at it as entertainment, not real life, please.
We talked about that a little bit on one of the previous podcasts about how the TV show CSI, all the different, and how much damage that has done.
Funny story. Yeah, I'm gonna sidetrack you here.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
CSI. I was working patrol and I got a vandalism call. Older lady called saying that a young kid threw a rock through her window. Okay, vandalism, no worries. Get out there, talk to her. And she's like, yeah, I didn't touch the rock.
You're going to get fingerprints. Come on.
I said, okay. And she's like, well, I didn't touch the rock because I know that there's fingerprints on it. I just got done watching CSI where they were able to scan a rock and recover a fingerprint. And I was trying to tell her, there's really no way to pick up a latent fingerprint off of a feather rock. Now, if you don't know what a feather rock is, right, it's a multi-layered, very lightweight rock that has a bunch of sharp edges and stuff. There's not one smooth surface on there at all, okay? So I decide, because I can't filter myself sometimes, I said, you know what? If you could do me a favor, I'm going to go out to my patrol car. I'm going to go grab the special light. Okay. If you can do me a favor while I'm doing that, please move your couch away, and then I'll bring the light in. And I don't know if you remember. You remember those, like the stream light, the little pin lights that look like a ballpoint pen? It just had a really bright LED.
Oh, yeah.
So I carried a green one.
Oh.
So I walked into the house and I took that pin light and I shined the rock over, and I'm like, I don't see any, none of the fingerprints are lighting up. She had the biggest smile on her face and literally told me, thank you for doing everything that you can. I'm not worried about it. I was going to replace the windows anyway. She actually wrote a letter to my chief of commendation of how I went above and beyond, when all I was trying to do is just have some fun.
Absolutely.
I got yelled at for that, by the way.
What?
But yeah,
Your chief didn't think that was brilliant? Come on.
Well, he laughed at it, but he's like, it just wasn't, anyway. So you want to talk about fun things as a law enforcement officer? Yeah, we get to have fun if you do it professionally. But, at the end of the day, I always tell people, cops are the best salesmen in the world. Think about that for a second.
Well, you have to in a way.
You have to be, right? I have to sell you a speeding citation that you're going to pay $600-something for. Yeah. And at the end of the day, my goal is to get you to sign that ticket and tell me thank you. Right? Have a nice day.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, try not to cuss them when they leave. Say thank you. If you get that, you've done an amazing job.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always said when I had to terminate somebody in the past, I knew I did a really good job when they said thank you when they left. I can't imagine somebody saying thank you when you hand them a ticket, but I do my damnedest to try.
It happens.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it does, because I've done it. I said, I appreciate what you're doing.
Right.
Now, granted, I was being really nice up to that point to try, hoping they will, just be nice to me and not write the ticket. But and sometimes that works. But I think if more people would think about that, roll your damn windows down, turn your car off, put your hands where they can see them. I think more people would get out of tickets if they would just do stuff like that.
It's easier to talk your way into a ticket than it is out of a ticket, right?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
I've watched them do it.
Oh,
That's when we used to stop shoplifters, and they would get a chance to get away. And we're like, they could have walked away, but then become jackasses.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now you're not. I don't care. Yeah, like I said, we were in L.A. County, and I loved L.A. County Sheriff because they were in Lancaster, and they were that's the Wild West out there. It used to be. And they just had a ball. They had a ball, but they always showed up. If I call them, they were there. But you think about it, and they had fun. They more than a few times they came into my parking lot with all four wheels off the ground by the time they launched it. It was kind of made my day. So now if you're working more on this side of it and you're working with firearms legal protection, which, like I said, I think that's a great program. Really impressed with what they're doing. And, how is that translating into, you're getting away from the training, the CCW training by the sounds of it. You're working with the trainers, though. Is that being pretty well received?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. So when I started teaching with my own classes and stuff like that, I got really involved with Solana County Sheriff's Office. Solana County, Joe Pinder, he runs the CCW unit up there.
And where's this at?
Solano, so Vacaville,
Okay.
kind of in between Sacramento and Bay Area and all that kind of stuff. He runs every single year. The Solano County Sheriff's Office holds a CCW conference where they have organizations like CRPA, Gun Owners of California come up there, and they do a 2 to 3 day just legal update course, and it's not for citizens. It's for the law enforcement agencies.
Yeah.
So every single law enforcement agency gets the most up-to-date information. Believe it or not, most law enforcement officers don't know anything about what's going on with the gun laws.
Yeah.
Right. So this conference is just absolutely amazing. So I started getting involved with that, started, meeting people in the industry, and, start going to SHOT Show, not to go over there and drool over the things that we can't have here in California, but more so just meeting people, I've got to meet all the influencers. I've had dinner and drinks with, Jared from Guns and Gadgets and Anthony from, Arms Scholar, and, meet all these guys, and they are just amazing people, and I just see the advocacy part of it, and it really got me involved. And I met John Crump, and John Crump got me introduced with GOA, and found out that they were filing some lawsuits that I applied for, that I was an applicant for, because, as a retired law enforcement officer, I get a little bit extra benefits and exclusions from California laws that the average person doesn't. And I hate that, right? Not just because I don't think it's fair, but at the end of the day, I hate it because then I can't really advocate for you, right? Like, the whole, Senate Bill 2 lawsuits that came out, I couldn't be a part of Senate Bill 2 because I was exempt from a lot of the sensitive areas as a retired law enforcement officer. So I got with John Crump with GOA and got to meet Sam Paredes from Gun Owners of California and a couple of these other guys. And we found a lawsuit that I fit perfect for, and that was Richards v. Newsom.
Okay.
Richards v. Newsom was in response to California's regulations on FFL dealers that required 24/7, 365 video and audio security surveillance.
Yes. I've heard about that one a lot.
Because I'm a home-based firearms dealer, I was not exempt from that.
Okay.
So I had to put a camera in my house. I couldn't access the camera system. It was 24/7, 365. I had to maintain the footage for, a full year.
Yeah.
And it was recording everything inside my house. I couldn't do anything that the normal person would do inside their house anymore because I chose that I was going to sell firearms to support my training business.
Absolutely.
So I got involved with that, and then that led me down another path, right? So I've got to speak to Costas Moros and all these people, and it absolutely amazes me that every time I talk to these folks, we're all exactly the same. And it really brought into light how small the firearms community is, but how large it is at the same time.
I think people out of California, and I've had this conversation a lot with folks at different events or this or that, and they, well, you're in California, you guys can't own guns. Like, well, you might want to look at that a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
And they realize the amount of...
We just can't own the good guns.
We can't... We're getting a few of them.
We're getting a few. We'll talk about... Yeah, we could talk about those too, but anyway.
Well, yeah, the whole roster thing. What? Now, that's before the courts now, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, we have, is it Bolin v. Bonta? And that right now is kind of just... we got the micro snapping removed from the requirements, right? So because of that, we still have to have the safety or the loaded chamber indicator and the magazine disconnect. Still have to have those things on, which, some manufacturers were already doing it. I think the magazine disconnect is the most unsafe safety mechanism on a pistol, right?
Describe that.
Well, because these pistols, some of these pistols, especially like the striker fired pistols, you have the Glock, right? You have your Smith & Wesson Shield. You have your Springfield XDs and your Springfield Hellcats, right? Almost every single one of them require you to pull the trigger to take the slide off for general maintenance.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And so those are some of the most common firearms right now.
And I can't take my gun apart without having a magazine in the pistol because it requires me to pull the trigger and to deactivate the firing mechanism. And if I have to have a magazine inserted into it,
Yeah, you're asking for trouble.
You're asking for trouble.
It makes you think that the people that are making the laws are probably the ones that have never owned or shot a firearm in their life.
Well, yeah. I mean, what's the new one? AB, was it 11? Oh, God, I can't remember the actual number. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Well,
like
yeah,
freaking word soup. But, you know, the new one is, hey, let's ban Glock pistols. Well, why? We're going to ban Glock pistols because criminals can put a Chinese-made Glock switch on the back of it. So instead of penalizing the criminals for doing already illegal activities, we're going to penalize law-abiding citizens, law-abiding gun owners, and literally eliminate the number one selling manufacturer of firearms in California for the past 15 years.
Which is the real reason they're doing it.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with safety.
No.
No,
It's a money grab.
It's
I mean,
all money.
you go back to the roster, right? What does it take for a firearm manufacturer to put their gun on California's roster?
Yeah, I have no idea, but
So-
probably a lot of money.
They come up with a firearm idea or try to incorporate a current firearm into California. They have to the research and development to do the magazine disconnect and the loaded chamber indicator. Then what they have to do, they have to submit it for DOJ testing, right? So it has to be safe. Those mechanisms have to work. It has to meet California requirements. The text has to be this size or that size. The chamber indicator has to be prominent, and it goes on and on and on. Well, once they get through all that stuff, they submit it to DOJ testing. Once it passes testing, then the fire manufacturer has to pay the state of California money to put it on the roster. But how many colors of Glock 19s do they make?
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what?
You can do every one.
If Glock only made one Glock 19 and it was only in black, they'd only have to pay that fee one time. But because they make a Glock in a green frame, a gray frame, one has this type of night sights, one has this type of night sights, one has an MOS slide, one doesn't. Those are all individual firearms according to the state of California. So they have to pay for testing for each one, and they have to pay the processing fee, I guess is what you would call it, for them to be put on California's handgun roster. Luckily, you do have firearm manufacturers now that we've got rid of the microstamping that have been investing the time and money needed to get those, right? So we're talking more specifically, you know, the Ruger Max 9, the Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 series. You have the Sig Sauer P365 series and the 320s. You have the Springfield Hellcats. You know, everybody's waiting. It just got released, the Staccato HD P4. How many people have been buying Staccatos in California in our gray market for over $5,000, where now you can actually get it at regular pricing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's actually that fact right there. The fact, okay, $5,000 or whatever. It doesn't matter what. Really, all you're doing is making it so expensive that people, they're not able to defend themselves and protect their family and protect their property. And that part probably bothers me more than anything.
Well, what's going on right now, right? So we have our ammunition background fees, right? They just raised that to $5, so they just increased it from 1 to 5. There's rumors that they want to increase our DROS fee, so from $37.19 to God knows how much they're going to put on there. Now we have this 11% excise tax, right? So you're paying California sales tax, and then you're paying the 11% on top of that. If we go back to that Staccato HD real quick, right? Let's talk about the fees associated with that. $2,600 for the pistol. In Merced County, it's 8.25% sales tax, plus 11% excise tax, plus $37.19 for your background fee, plus a 10-day wait.
Yeah.
For a $2,600 gun, you won't walk out of a gun store for less than $3,800.
Which is crazy. It's and I always think of, and I brought it up before, I always think of the single mother that's home that wants to protect her family. All we're doing is making that extremely hard.
Well, what's even worse is our 10-day background check, our cooling off period, right?
Right.
I mean, think about that. What's the purpose of getting a firearm to defend yourself? Hey, I have a friend. She got involved in a domestic violence situation. There's a restraining order. The ex came in and has been threatening her life, those type of things. So she decides that it's time for her to go get a firearm. So she goes to a FFL here in California, gets her firearm safety certificate after taking a 30-question test, which actually there's legislation right now where they're trying to change that, where it's not just a 30-question test. You have to take a 16-hour training course just to
do that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's extending your, what is it? A right delayed is a right denied.
Right. Yes.
So you have that, and then you go through all this extrusion process. You pay all these extra fees that are just so ridiculous, outpricing you. And then you have to wait 10 days. What happens to that young lady within that 10 days if that ex-husband comes in and does something?
Yeah.
She has no right to defend herself or her kids. And I know Gun Owners of America and Firearms Policy Coalition, the CRPA, we're all involved in trying to get that 10-day wait overturned. But, unfortunately, we live in a state where our opinions and our rights don't matter.
Well, and a lot of people, they think of that 10 days, well, that's when they're doing your background check.
No,
they're
your
not.
background check comes back in like less than 10 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And I have no problem with background checks.
No, absolutely not.
I really don't. And that actually makes me think more. Because there's times I've thought, well, the 10-day, that's excessive. That needs to be, why not? If you're going to do a true cooling off period, a day at most.
Yeah,
I mean, that's really, but if you're doing the background check and it's already there, and if you already own firearms, get rid of the damn 10-day
or
waiting period.
CCW permit.
Oh yeah, I walk.
There's a lot of states, right? Like Arizona. I mean, you can go to Arizona if you're a resident of Arizona. You have a valid state identification card or driver's license. You have a CCW permit. You literally walk into a gun store, show them your CCW permit, saying basically you've gone through all the big boy background checks, all that kind of stuff, and you fill out your 4473 and you walk out. No background check required.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
But
it's all
again,
done.
you talked about money. It's all about money in California.
Yeah.
Right. If they do that, they miss out on the $37.19. They miss out on this and this and that. And it's just a money grab. I mean, you talk about how much money it takes to get a CCW. I teach with a company called Medicup Consulting in Azusa, California. And, a lot of those students applied for their CCW permit over 2 years ago.
Wow.
And they're just now getting clearance to take their training class. They've invested 24 to 36 months of their life with thousands of dollars for application fee, background fees, live scan and the training and the ammunition and stuff like that, just to participate in your Second Amendment right and also your right to defend yourself and your loved ones. Mm-hmm. It's literally about money. That's all it is over here.
Well, I think it's about money, but also making it difficult. Let's just make it difficult, then people won't do it, like you said.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Let's make it so expensive so if those people choose to participate, we make the most money possible, but ultimately the goal is for them not to participate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll just make it to where it's just not worth their time.
Yep.
Or what you're really doing is you're creating a bunch of criminals.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you're going to carry.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Part of Senate Bill 2 was what? Right? Mandatory disclosure that you're a CCW holder.
Yes.
And the reason they did that is because now California requires all law enforcement agencies to document and report every interaction with the CCW holder to the California State DOJ. So we all go around saying, hey, we're law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of the aisle says, well, what, you guys think you're just all high, mighty, and perfect? Well, what are they going to do? Well, the moment that you and I get stopped for running a stop sign, we're no longer law-abiding, so we can't claim law-abiding gun owner anymore.
Exactly.
And that's why they're doing that.
Yeah. No, it makes absolute sense. To me, it's kind of like the suppressor laws. To me, which I think are ridiculous. When I think about the suppressor laws and how you're outlawing the hunters, or if you're out shooting and having a suppressor, you're there, you're protecting your ears.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, everybody's going to wear ear protection, but not always. People, they're macho, this or that, being a dumbass. We've all done it.
Yes.
But
Yes,
it's,
we have.
but you think about having that suppressor on there if you're out hunting, or even if you're target shooting, it's going to help, and it's going to be less intrusive.
It's funny you say that because, the couple ranges that I teach at are all outdoors, but they're close to homes.
Yeah.
What's the number one complaint to law enforcement? The noise,
Yes.
right? Okay, well, if you want me to be proficient and safe with my firearm, I need to go out and use that firearm and practice with it. But if it's causing such a disturbance with the neighbors, right? One, they shouldn't have bought a house there. But two, right? I think they should be supportive of suppressor because it's going to let their lives be more peaceful, right? I always make a joke when I teach my CCW classes, with California Senate Bill 2, the sensitive areas, right? We can't carry guns in libraries anymore, right? Because the librarians are pissed we can't have suppressors.
Right, yeah.
Or why can't I carry a gun at a zoo? Well, I guess poaching's a problem.
Oh, there you
right?
go. There you go.
It's little things like that. There's no rhyme or reason for all of this, but yeah, I mean suppressors. Yeah, I get it. And the suppressors are the prime litigation and the legislation of suppressors is 100% I put on Hollywood.
Well, I was going to say that goes back to the whole CSI aspect. You know, it's movies, mob movies, whatever you want to call it. It's how do we get past that? We never will, but
we never will. But literally, I mean, I think for too long the Second Amendment community has just kind of sat idle, and we're now becoming more vocal. Look at the Hearing Protection Act right now with Trump's big, beautiful bill, right? What's happening with that? We actually got the Hearing Protection Act put into the big, beautiful bill as a financial part of it, removing the tax stamp. And now there's even more movement to get it completely deregulated from the NFA, which is moving.
Now, describe that a little bit. What does that really do?
As far as
having that, what does it do with
if it gets passed, it basically deregulates suppressors from the National Firearms
Act.
Act.
That side of it, yes. Okay.
Right. But in states like California, there's actually state law saying that we can't have suppressors, period. So even if it's allowed federally, we're restricted from purchasing those things.
But will federal law supersede state law in certain areas, like with the constitutional
Well, I mean,
aspect?
States are allowed to, limit what their residents do, but they can't supersede federal law. But that's what California's been doing for God knows how long, right?
Well, that's the whole. We've actually had a lot of conversations about this, my son and I, different things, and reciprocity. The whole idea, and I was like I'm a states' rights guy.
Yeah.
I want states' rights,
Absolutely.
but at the same time, and that's where I thought he was going to run into a problem with that. Well, if it's the national side, if it's the Constitution, it should override.
Oh, absolutely.
On that one. So really,
well, so the thing is, if you actually look at it, right, we have the U.S. Constitution, which grants states certain rights.
Yeah.
But they can't infringe or go outside of those Bill of Rights.
Right.
Right. But unfortunately, we live in a day now where Second Amendment right is actually second. It's a second class right. It's not part of the Bill of, that's just the perception of it. And I absolutely hate that. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I think, one, you have to be vocal about it. One of the biggest things that I tell my students in my classes, don't be pissed off and sit on the couch. Do something about it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly why, like I said, I'm involved in some of these lawsuits against California. I'm involved with CRPA and Gun Owners of America and stuff because, I'm tired of sitting on my couch fighting these keyboard warriors.
Now, do you know Matt Johnson, with CRPA in Tulare County?
I don't know Matt personally. I think we've talked.
He's been on,
couple
actually.
times.
He was on a while back. Great guy. So I think more people should get involved in CRPA. Absolutely.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if it's CRPA or anybody, just get involved somehow.
Right.
If you're spending $35 on an extra large pizza, right. Skip that pizza one time a month and donate to these organizations that are actually fighting for your Second Amendment rights.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about Azusa. What are you doing down there? What type of training are you doing?
So Medicup Consulting, they're the largest CCW certification provider for Los Angeles County. Okay. Doing anywhere between 150 to 200 students a month. So I go down there and help their training staff actually teach the classes. The way they have their program set up is, it's firearms, but they add the stop the bleed training and the initial first aid training associated with it, which a lot of people don't even know about, or nobody knows how to put a tourniquet on or actually wound pack to stop actually a life-threatening bleed. And it's really important that you know those skills because you're more likely to have to use a tourniquet than a firearm.
Yeah.
And we talk about using a firearm to save a life. Well, how about learning the skills to save a life before a firearm's even used?
Right.
And so really awesome program, awesome guys. So I help them teach. And then part of what I do down there is I kind of talk about, mindset and, we really get into that, the actual physical and legal and the emotional fight of getting involved in a self-defense incident, which is kind of a perfect fit. Like I said, with me working with firearms legal protection now, I can offer that extra level of not only education, but extra level of protection. With
the firearms legal protection, what does that really do? Like when you're going to go out and talk to these, I feel everybody needs to get into it. It's not an insurance.
Correct.
It's a prepaid legal.
Right.
So help folks understand what that is and how you can help them.
So with firearms legal protection, like you said, Chuck, it's, we're not an insurance provider, right? It's not an insurance product in the state of California, meaning we're not bound by, insurance regulations, right? There's other companies, and they're all great companies out there. We're all on the same team, like I mentioned before, we're all on the same team just trying to help people. At the end of the day, the reason why I truly believe firearms legal protection is the best out there is because we look at ourselves as a service provider to our members, and we will do whatever it takes to provide that service. More so, I like to say this, if you become a member with firearms legal protection, you become part of our family. And just like you would do anything to protect your family members, we're going to come in and do everything we can to protect you, our family member. So no matter what, like I mentioned before, you have to hold yourself accountable to your actions, even in a self-defense situation. When you call 911, at what point is your phone call being recorded after a self-defense incident?
Yeah. It's being recorded as soon as they pick up.
No. As soon as you hit that green button on your phone.
Oh, okay.
Right? We have an E911, an enhanced 911 system. As soon as that 911 is dialed and you hit that green button, that phone call is being recorded.
Oh.
I was a police dispatcher for 4.5 years. You know how many times I was able to catch domestic violence victims being the suspect by not answering that 911 phone call?
I'll be darned.
Because I could hear everything before I hit that answer button.
That's interesting.
Right? So remember, anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
Yes.
Okay? So when you call 911, don't have diarrhea of the mouth. Right? Just keep your mouth shut. Hey, this happened. I need fire. I need police. I need an ambulance. Hang up the damn phone.
Yeah.
That's all you're required to do.
Yeah.
Right? I like to say these three things. If you're ever involved in that physical fight where you have to defend yourself, right? You have to win the race to 911. Okay? Because the first person to call 911 is always the victim. Right?
Sure.
Don't rely on somebody else to call. Don't think that just because you didn't shoot your gun that you get to go home and nothing happens, because the next thing you know is little Johnny went home crying to his mom because he peed his pants and you pulled a gun on him. Right. And then law enforcement like, well, you obviously weren't afraid of this person. You weren't asking for help. So now you're under arrest. Right. So call 911. Hey, there is a shooting at this location. We need fire. We need ambulance. We need, police, whatever. Hang up the phone and then call FLP. Or if you don't have firearms legal protection, call your attorney, right? Hopefully your attorney answers the phone. Right. And that's not the time to get on Google and try to find the best self-defense attorney, at 2:00 in the morning on a Wednesday. Right. That's not the time that you want to be researching this stuff. No. Okay. And then after you call FLP or you talk to your attorney on the phone, just do 3 more things. Just shut up.
Yeah.
Right. Use that attorney as your filter and let them talk. Right. Because the worst thing you can do is provide a statement when you have no idea exactly what happened, because the reality of the situation is different than how you perceived it.
I think of the guy that caused the accident on the phone that I was talking about earlier. He was his adrenaline was flowing.
Yeah.
And that's why he just popped out and said, boom, this is what happened. This is what I did. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
And
we've been, growing up, I mean, you're a little older than I am, but growing up, still, we've always been told, hold yourself accountable and apologize for your actions.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
If you know you did somebody wrong, apologize. Well, the problem with that, especially in a self-defense situation, is what? When you hold yourself accountable, you can't apologize, right? I'm not going to apologize for using my firearm to stop you from attacking me, which prevented me from going home.
No.
Right? I'm not going to apologize for that, but it's been ingrained in our mouth that if we didn't do anything wrong, just tell your story.
Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, that doesn't work. And we just, like I said, we get diarrhea of the mouth and we just get ourselves into trouble.
That paid off when we were in the old days. When I was younger, yes, you were able to do that. With the litigious society we live in now, no, you just can't. Right. You just can't, unfortunately. And good or bad, I don't care. It is what it is. You shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
So, like I said, if we go back, firearms legal protection, what makes us stand out about the crowd is our attorney network.
Yeah.
Right. Firearm legal protection, our attorneys are all vetted in self-defense, right? Minimum of 5 years experience. They have to have some specialty in self-defense firearms law. That's the first criteria, right? And then we don't negotiate with our attorneys. If they say that they charge normally $1,000 an hour, but they meet our vetting criteria, we're going to pay them $1,000 an hour.
Right.
We're not going to go to an attorney that just got his bar license and is looking for a job, he needs to have some experience. On the other side of it too, we're not a company that just allows any attorney to join our network, right? I know certain attorneys that are working for other organizations that are divorce attorneys, but they're a contracted attorney for a self-defense firm, right? That's not who you want,
No.
right? You don't want cousin Vinny, right? We get that question all the time. Well, can I use my own attorney? Have them call us and we'll put them on our network, right? But just because you know an attorney doesn't mean they're the best. And again, Firearms Legal Protection, we're a service provider, right? We're going to provide the best service possible. And I'm sorry, cousin Vinny may not be the best service for you. Yeah. One of the things that we jokingly talk about, when you go through the most stressful situation in your life and you're facing criminal charges or a civil lawsuit, do you want the attorney you can afford, or do you want the attorney Alec Baldwin had?
That's a very good point.
Right?
Yeah.
I want Alec Baldwin's attorney.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah. That's
And I can't afford that guy.
no.
So instead of trying to find that guy that's going to charge me $2,500 an hour, I'm going to pay $10 a month with FLP and get it.
Yeah.
That's less than, a Starbucks. I mean, shoot, on the way over here, I had to use the restroom and I grabbed some food, right? Went to Pyology. Horrible pizza, by the way. But it was just one of those things where I needed something quick. So what did I do? I went in there and I bought a salad and a pizza and a soda for $24 freaking dollars. Well, for $24, that one meal covered me with FLP in all 50 states. It covered my bail bond. It covered a firearm replacement in applicable states. It covered my expert witnesses. It literally, that $24 just saved me $400, $500, $1,000.
Yeah, I don't think people realize the damage that could get done in a lawsuit. Your kid could be out doing something.
Yeah.
And things could happen because you get a family cut package. And that's where I think there's the packages that really help with
so
that.
that's another thing too, right? Is remember I said, being part of the FLP family is literally that, family. And we get to look at it and go, hey, you know what? We're going to offer this to everybody in your household. So if you sign up with Firearms Legal Protection as our, in our family plan, you're going to get coverage. Your spouse or roommate or other adult living with you, as long as that adult's not a child of yours, right? One other adult, you and them are going to get covered. Not only that, but we're going to protect all the minor children inside your home, whether it's one child or 30 children. If you have 30 children, God bless you. Yeah. I have 2, and I can barely handle those guys. But at the end of the day, if you have 1 or 30 children, every single one of your kids is protected. Right? They have that legal coverage, that civil coverage. Psychological support comes in. If you have to take time off of work as a result of self-defense incidents, we're going to reimburse you for wages. We're going to provide financial assistance for cleaning up the scene of a self-defense incident. And a lot of people think, well, I'm going to go to a gun store. I'm going to buy a home defense shotgun, right? I don't want a CCW. I don't want to carry a gun on me, but I'm going to use that shotgun specific for home defense. So I don't need firearms legal protection, or I don't need these other things because I have a homeowner's insurance policy that's going to cover damages. Well, the problem is homeowners insurance policies will not cover damages as a result of an intentional act, even in your own home.
Yeah, well, and I think that's changed a lot in the state just recently with all the different. Lord knows these insurance companies are doing everything they can to get out of covering anything. You start reading all the little fine print on these homeowners insurance policies now. Not only is it quadrupled in cost, but they've taken a lot of coverages out of it.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that, like if we take that insurance aspect of it, we compare, some of these other companies to Firearms Legal Protection. We don't have exclusions in our policy that says if you admit guilt.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to cover no matter how many trials you need, both in criminal and civil. If anybody's ever dealt with an insurance company, I get involved in a car accident, I'm going to call them and I'm talking to the adjuster, and all the adjuster is doing is asking me questions to try to see if I fall under one of those exclusions so they can say, hey, thank you for your money. Sorry, we're not covering this.
Right.
Right. Versus, like I said, FLP, we're actually going to fight. Even if you fall under one of our exclusions, right? If it wasn't egregious, we're still going to fight to protect you. Again, because you're a family member.
Yeah, part of the family.
Right? Yeah. I mean, our president, Scott Yarbrough, said it great a little bit ago. He's like, I don't care what it takes. we're going to protect our members to the best of our ability because that's the service they provide.
No, that's can't really ask for more than that.
No, absolutely not.
No, that's so. You got a couple kids. You
Yeah.
mentioned that. I mean, we didn't really talk about that too much, but how old are your kids?
So I got a teenager now. So a 13-year-old son, and then I have a 9-year-old that'll be 10 in August. So
Both boys?
yes, sir.
Oh, 13-year-old son. I remember that day. That's a fun time.
Oh yeah,
That's that's a
constant nitpicking battle. It's always a competition. I'm better. I'm first. Blah blah. He did this. He did. Typical stuff. I mean, there's a lot of times where I just want to look outside of my gazebo and try to figure a way to put a noose out there. But
Yeah.
I love my kids too much. They're
Yes.
My kids are absolutely amazing. They keep my head on straight, even though sometimes I think they're trying to pull it off. But,
I think it's just getting us ready. I don't know, for when we're older, be a little more patient. I don't know. I don't know if it's worked, because I know my son, in between my two daughters, they're, what are they, 30, 38 now? You 38? Yeah. So that's mine are a little older. But
I started late, so
I started very early. So I think I was 19 when he was born. So it was, and then my youngest is 28. But it does get better eventually.
oh yeah, I'm sure it does.
Which, the best part about having kids though is grandkids.
I'm not ready.
No,
I'm not. Nope.
You got a while.
Hey, Marcial, if you're listening to this, no.
Yeah.
Right.
It's, I always say kids are great. Grandkids are awesome. They're both of mine there are a couple
Well,
of
so
them
you
out
get to
there.
load them up with sugar and then send them back to the
Send
parents.
them on home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Good luck, guys. No, we would never do that. No.
I can see the deceit in your eyes.
There's a little bit.
Remember when I said earlier, have you ever said something so stupid somebody squinted at you?
Oh, yeah.
So you had
All
to-
the time.
Yeah, that's the look.
They know exactly where the cabinet is. As soon as they walk in, they're opening that drawer. They open that up. Oh, Papa, I need a snack.
Yeah.
Take it home with you.
Yeah,
Get into the car on the way home. Absolutely. What else have we not covered that we probably should have covered with you here? Your training stuff, I think, is very impressive. I really like that. I like that you're real involved in the Second Amendment and the rights. Are there any laws and things that we need to be paying attention to coming up that can really, I know there's a lot, but if you had to pick 2 or 3 on the horizon that could really cause some damage, or are some things that have come up that people don't realize now it's legal to do this or that?
First, I have to say, because we decided that we were going to get off the couch and start expressing our opinions.
Yeah.
Assembly Bill 1333.
Okay.
That was it was an assembly bill put forward by Zabur down in Southern California, and it would have completely changed the definition of self-defense in California. They were basically going to eliminate the castle doctrine in California. They were going to essentially force you to have to prove you were unable to escape a situation before getting involved, including inside your own home.
Yeah, you got to run out the back door.
It would have completely changed the definition of justifiable homicide in California. And I just applaud everybody out there. Thank you for standing up and reaching out to your legislators to vote this out, right? Because it never made it to the assembly. However, I promise you this, it is not gone. It will come back. And I think that's the biggest thing right there, is just because we won a short battle, never stop, because that bill's coming back. I promise you it's going to come back even worse. That's the same thing that happened with Senate Bill 2. Right, so we won in the first round several years ago, and it got reintroduced, and it just completely changed the landscape of CCW in California. And that's because we all decided to be complacent. Oh, we won once, right? Yeah. Remember, the rights that you have are only the rights that you're able to afford to defend. And the moment you give up that right, it's 10 times as expensive, not just financially, right?
Oh, yeah.
But professionally and emotionally, it's 10 times more expensive to get that right back if you ever get it back. So, in California, our laws they change almost every single day. There's a new legal update or a new lawsuit or a new bill that's put out there. And I can just say this, it doesn't matter what's on the ballot today or what's on the ballot tomorrow or yesterday. Get involved. Don't ignore them. Don't rely on your elected officials to properly represent you. And if they aren't properly representing you, vote them out. And I think that's
Yeah.
the problem that we have here is everybody complains about our elected officials. Well, the only people that we can blame is ourselves because, one, we voted for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might have voted for somebody different than I did, but at the end of the day, they're still our elected official.
Yes.
And we need to reach out to those individuals and go, hey, I don't agree with this. You need to vote no, and this is why. And if you do vote yes, when I'm asking you to vote no, I will not reelect you. And I think you're actually starting to see that on a national level now, where this Hearing Protection Act, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only way we got that into the big, beautiful bill that's going on right now is because we stood up and we spoke and we say, hey, if you don't vote for this into that, we will not elect you.
Right.
We could actually file a recall because you're not accurately representing what we want. But the only way that happens is if you get vocal and you actually reach out to those individuals, right? I have written many, many emails and left very many voicemails for our Miss Feinstein.
Oh,
And every single time it's a chain email, it's a chain letter, pre-written letter that
Sure.
just gets forwarded back to me, and it's all bullshit.
yes.
But at the end of the day, guess what? Now that's on record.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if she doesn't respond, guess what I get to do?
Yeah.
I get to go to the next level,
Yeah.
and then the next level. And it all starts locally. Like a lot of people like completely ignore their city council, right? Get involved in your city council, your school boards. Get involved in that.
I hate it when people complain nonstop about their schools or about the city or about the county.
Yeah.
And I'll ask them every time. I said, well, when's the last time you visited the school? When's the last time you went to a school board meeting? Well, I don't know when they have them. Really? It's public. Go look at it.
Yeah.
Go pay attention. Stop bitching if you're not willing to go do something about it. And
Stop living in your mom's basement.
yes, very much. Well, I think we've run into that problem with conservatives for a long time is we're busy out working.
Yeah.
And we're doing stuff. I was in Eureka the other day, and I love Eureka. It's a great place. And I was talking to some folks up there, some business stuff, and
Just don't go west of 101.
oh God, it's crazy. Yeah, no. Well, luckily this particular customer's right on the 101, right on the water, but it's up in Arcata. They have a ton of paid protesters, which is where the Humboldt State is, right in there, and it's right just north of Eureka. And he was telling me about these. These people don't have jobs, but they do. Their job is just to go protest.
Right.
Every single day they're protesting. No, go get a real damn job.
You know, it's funny you say that. Talk about like homelessness and stuff like that. A really good friend of mine, he's a sergeant in Colorado Springs.
Oh gosh.
So the next state that's trying to be California. Anyway, and he was supervising their homeless outreach team. They call it the HOT team.
Oh yeah.
And he met a transient out there that was a transient solely on his own personal decision.
Oh sure.
This homeless person literally disclosed that I don't have to work a day in my life. And, you get the squint. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
Are you really happy doing this? And he's like, absolutely, I'm happy doing this. I'm making $45,000 a year sitting here at a corner
Yep. All day long.
all day long.
Yeah. Oh, it's
And then I get free food.
crazy.
I get free medical care. If I want to go do dope, I get free I get free needles and
Yeah.
medical kits and all that kind of stuff.
Everything.
Hell, I could even go to a doctor's office with my own dope I bought off some dope dealer, and they'll let me inject it there in the office to make sure that I don't freaking die. And he's like, why wouldn't I want to do those things?
Yeah. Oh, it's brutal. That's been going on for many, many years. I have a family member run away from home when she was young, and she went to Hollywood. And this would have been back in 01, 02. And I remember when finally we tracked her down and got her back home. And I think she was 15 at the time. She said, we asked her, well, how did you survive? She goes, oh, it's easy. She goes, we walked around. I mean, evidently it was a big thing for all these kids to run away, go to Hollywood, go to West Hollywood. They're walking around, they call it changing, just asking for change. Like I said, this is 20 years, over 20 years ago. She said we would make anywhere from $13 to $15 an hour. And then, so just by doing that, we got a place to sleep at night because they had this shelter. We've got a place to do our laundry. And we got 3 meals a day just by going here, here, and here. Mm-hmm. We had everything we needed.
Right.
And we made that awful damn easy for this 15-year-old kid to run away from home. And there was a ton of them down there. I was shocked. I mean, because I I was busy in my own life.
Right.
I had no idea until I got the phone call that, hey, I need help from my sister. And of course we ran down there, and look, I had a friend who was a BPD or an LAPD, and he helped out. But I was just shocked at how easy it is they make it. Mm-hmm. And what you brought up, the homeless and sitting on the street corner. Damn, but that's against the law. They're not. That's a violation to be sitting in the middle.
Yeah.
Why can we not get them off those street corners? Because if we could eliminate that, for one thing, we shouldn't have to put up with it. At the same time, I just want to sit at the stoplight. I'm tired of getting harassed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so you think about, those type of things, right? It's illegal to defecate in public.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
City of San Francisco actually sponsored the development of the poop app.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to have the poop app. I mean, you got to have that.
It's little things like that.
And I hate that with San Francisco because I love it. You used to go there.
I used to love that city.
And had a ball. We used to go up there every year for meetings. You could walk down to the pier, all the Pier 30, and I just have a good time.
The only thing you had to be worried about being scared of is one of those guys dressed in freaking all the bronze metallic paint and stuff, or jumping out of the bush. Now that's the least of your worries. Yeah.
Oh, my wife and I used to joke. We watched this kid grow up. We call him Bongo Boy because he was down on Pier 39 playing the bongos. Well, we watched him because we were there every year, same time of the year, probably, 7-8 years in a row. And we kind of watched him grow up. But then, the bronze, the guys that are painted gold and silver, and it just breaks my heart to see that city. I was there a few years ago and could not get out fast enough. But the people outside of California wish they knew that everything, the good stuff that does happen here.
Yeah. No,
and
it's
a ton of it.
We have California is such a beautiful state. Not just the scenery and the geographic part of it, but I mean, we have a lot of good people here. But unfortunately, we're just outspoken. And I wanted to kind of circle back a little bit. You mentioned, what are some things that we can do? First off, we're trying to be responsible and very well perceived gun owners. Mm-hmm. Don't do anything to taint that. Yeah. Don't walk around with shirts that are saying F your gun free zone or those type of things, right? Because it's all bad. Now, having said that, I will say that I sometimes don't have a filter, and it's a good thing and a bad thing, but I can be sarcastic about some certain things. And I'll kind of end it on this. We were talking a little bit earlier, and I figured it'd be a good story to share here on the podcast. I had a license plate on my pickup truck a long time ago because I was very proud of what I did. Right. I was very proud of what I do and who I stand for. And I want to be that voice, and especially in the Second Amendment industry. So I had a license plate. It said Cali 42A. It was CALI 42 and then the letter A. Right. So California for the Second Amendment. I was taking my son to a doctor's office. And when I got out of my pickup, this older gentleman started yelling at me. And he was just like, "It's all your fault. You guys and your damn constitutional laws, guns kill people, and you support murder and blah, 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 blah." And I'm looking at him, and I gave him the squint. Yeah, I gave him that squint. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, makes sense here. And I was like, what are you referring to? I don't even know you. Like, and he pointed out my license plate. And he said, California for the Second Amendment. It's all you guys, your fault, this and this and that. They should just get rid of guns and da-da-da-da. So I looked at him, and then I looked at my license plate, and I said, "That license plate?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "That has nothing to do with the Second Amendment. I don't even know what the Second Amendment is. What's the Constitution? What are you talking about?" And he kind of gave me the squint back. And I said, "That license plate says it stands for Cal football. I played for Cal football. I was an inside linebacker. My number was 42, and I was on the A practice squad. I'm proud of that." And he couldn't say anything, and he just kind of stepped back, and he apologized, and I was able to go on my way, right? So I was able to defend our Second Amendment rights without causing a bigger issue.
Yeah.
But then I didn't have a filter, so as I was walking away, I turned around and I said, "You know what, sir? Thank you for apologizing, but Second Amendment states a well-regulated mission necessary to the free state." And I just went on, and he just lost his shit, and I opened up a whole shitstorm, right? But at the end of the day, be proud, right? Be proud. Don't be silenced. Don't put a muffler over your mouth. Stand up for what you believe in, right? Don't be quiet. Don't be pissed off on the couch. Do something about it. Get out there, do something about it. Give me a call. I'll write a damn email for you and I'll send it out, right? At the end of the day, the only reason we've lost the ground that we have here in California is because we haven't opened our mouths. We've been outvoted by the people that like to run their mouths because they think they're entitled to something versus us who, like I said, we're conservative, right? We don't want to start a fight. We don't want to do anything. We just want to go live our life. But at the end of the day, we need to start standing up for ourselves. And I think that's kind of the hill that we've been climbing, and we're almost to the top, but we just need to keep fighting for it. So
No, I couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Well, okay. How do people get a hold of you? What is the best ways? And name of your company again. Let's go through that.
You can get a hold of me. My training company, it's hardfocustraining.com. Get on there. There's a contact page. You can do that. You can follow me on all the social medias, Hard Focus Firearms Training. Better yet, probably easier just to email me, Matt, M-A-T-T, at firearmslegal.com. I can get you, set up. I can explain some details about, becoming a member with Firearms Legal Protection. If you just want to shoot the shit or just have a casual conversation, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to talk to you guys. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm no special, no different than anybody else. I'm just a family man. I'm a single dad that's raising 2 kids, and I just want to go home. And I think that's the whole goal is, a lot of people look at, the CCWs as, oh my God, you're going to carry a gun with the intent to kill somebody. No, my gun and my CCW permit ain't no different than my cell phone, my wallet, my keys, right? That's just an extra tool that allows me to leave my house in the morning, go take care of what I have to do to go home and take care of my family. And I think if everybody could just understand that mindset, I think we'd be in a much better position as far as legislation goes with CCWs. So.
Well, and I will tell you, in full transparency, Firearms Legal Protection is a sponsor for this program. They help us keep this podcast going. Without them, it makes it definitely harder. So yes, they are an advertiser, but we also are members. So I really appreciate them.
Yeah, and remember I talked about, support those organizations that support you and fight for your rights, right? If you can't pay for Firearms Legal Protection and because of your financial situation, you can't donate to these other organizations, right? At least get that coverage, right? Get that coverage with Firearms Legal Protection. It's $10 a month, and know that some of that money that you're paying into that is actually going to fighting for your rights by sponsoring podcasts like this and getting those words out and getting the information out about some of the politicians that might be trying to destroy it, or getting at least the education out there about some of the laws that are going on so you don't become an accidental criminal, which is ultimately is the goal of some of these legislators and politicians, is to make us non-law abiding anymore.
Yeah.
So
No,
get
I think
involved.
that's a big part of it right there.
Absolutely.
Well, there you go, folks. Get involved. Help out where you can. All right. With that, we'll call it a day.
All right. Thank you, Chuck. I
Appreciate you coming
that.
up. Thank
Absolutely,
you.
man. Thank you for having me here. I'm looking forward to it again. So
We will.